This city had a name before it had a number. It had streets, bakeries, a river where children played on summer afternoons. In the summer of 1942, 400,000 people lived here. Ordinary people, going to market, coming home. Hold that image in your mind. Children at the river, laughter, sunlight on the water, because everything you are looking at is about to disappear. Before we go further, I need to tell you one fact, just one. This city bore his enemy's name. For Hitler, that made it personal. He didn't just want to take it, he wanted to erase it, to destroy the city that carried Joseph Stalin's name, and prove to the world that nothing his enemy touched could survive him. That obsession, an ego disguised as strategy, would cost Germany the entire war. In the summer of 1942, Hitler sent his largest army, 330,000 soldiers, 300 tanks, 3,000 artillery pieces, marching toward one city. General Friedrich Paulus led them forward, confident, certain, decorated. He had no idea he was marching his men into a grave. On August 23, 1942, at 4 in the afternoon, 600 German aircraft darkened the sky above Stalingrad. The sun disappeared. In a single afternoon, 1,000 tons of bombs fell on a living city. Buildings became dust, streets became craters. The Volga River caught fire, oil drums hit the water, and the river burned. People ran toward the flames because the flames were already behind them. Survivors said the glow was visible 40 miles away. An entire city turned into a signal fire. The sound of the Stuka dive bomber had a siren fitted to its wing, a mechanical shriek engineered specifically to create terror. It was designed to do one thing, make the people below feel like the sky itself was screaming at them. It worked. Stalin's response came in 12 words, not one step back. Any Soviet soldier who retreated without permission would be shot, not by the Germans, but by their own officers. Behind every Soviet position stood NKVD blocking detachments, internal security forces, with live weapons pointed not at the enemy, but at their own men. At Stalingrad alone, over 13,000 Soviet soldiers were executed by their own side. 13,000. They were dying in front of them, dying behind them. There was nowhere left to go but forward. The Germans called it Rottenkrieg, the War of the Rats. Two armies dissolving into the rubble, fighting not for cities, but for rooms. Men fought over single staircases, one floor at a time, one step at a time. The entire Eastern Front compressed into a single staircase. Over a single window, a rectangle of broken wall worth dying for. A German soldier named William Hoffman wrote in his diary, "Stalingrad is not a city, it is a graveyard with guns." General Chuikov, the Soviet commander, spent most of the battle with both hands wrapped in bandages, severe eczema, his body confessing what his rank would not allow him to say out loud. On the German side, Field Marshal Paulus developed an uncontrollable tic in his left eye. By the end, it had spread to half his face. The battle was not just destroying the city, it was destroying the men who were supposed to be immune to destruction. But the most devastating weapon at Stalingrad was not a bomb, it was not a tank, it was a loudspeaker. Every night, throughout the brutal winter of 1942, Soviet speakers broadcast across no man's land, directly into the German trenches. It began with a sound, a ticking clock, then a voice, cold, certain, unhurried. Every 7 seconds, a German soldier dies on the Eastern Front. Then music, a tango, beautiful, haunting. Music from home, music from a world that still existed somewhere, a world those men were never going back to. German commanders ordered their men to fire mortars at the loudspeakers, silence them, destroy them. Their soldiers refused. They wanted to hear the music. Think about that. Men in a war zone choosing sound over survival. The Soviets also dropped millions of leaflets from aircraft directly over German positions, night after night, millions of pieces of paper falling like snow. Each one was a paper knife, aimed not at the body, but at the mind. Soviet intelligence learned something critical through prisoner interrogation, something that changed the entire shape of the psychological campaign. The thing that breaks a soldier is not the enemy in front of him, it is the family behind him, the photograph in his pocket, the name he whispers before he sleeps. One Soviet debriefing note read, "Men eagerly read the Russian leaflets. Some cried when they saw a leaflet showing a dead German soldier and an infant weeping over his body. A piece of paper, a drawing, and grown men, hardened by months of combat, wept in the mud. Germany's propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels, fired back. His strategy was cruder, less surgical, built on one emotion: terror. He told German soldiers exactly what the Red Army would do to their families if Germany lost, if they stopped fighting, if they gave up. And it worked, in a terrible way. Men fought not for victory, not for Hitler, but because the alternative, in their minds, had been made to feel worse than death. That is what psychological war does at its most vicious. It doesn't make men brave, it makes them too afraid to stop. In December 1942, German High Command ordered their soldiers to write letters home, a final communication. They promised to deliver them. They lied. Every letter was collected. Every envelope was taken. Each one was opened, read, catalogued for psychological intelligence, and filed in a military archive. The soldiers believed they were speaking privately to the people they loved. They were speaking to a filing cabinet. The families waited, for weeks, for months, for letters that never came. What those soldiers wrote, believing no one else would ever read it, is some of the most raw human testimony the Second World War produced. One soldier wrote simply, "Stalingrad is a mass grave. The cemeteries are growing. I am of 30 men left in my company." In the center of the ruined city, one building refused to fall. Every building around it, rubble. This one, standing. Sergeant Yakov Pavlov and 25 soldiers turned a 4-story apartment block into a fortress. Mines in the ground, machine guns at every window, holes knocked between walls so men could move without stepping outside. For 58 days they held that building. 58 days. 25 men, 6 nationalities, 3 languages, 1 building. They held. Historians later calculated that Pavlov's men killed more Germans defending that single building than the Wehrmacht lost capturing the entire city of Paris. While German forces were grinding themselves apart in the rubble, Soviet General Zhukov was building a trap, quietly, patiently. He was not looking at the city, he was looking at what surrounded it. He struck not at the city, but at the flanks, 2 massive Soviet forces curving outward from both sides of Stalingrad. In 4 days, those forces swept 250 miles through blizzard conditions and met west of the city. The ring closed. 330,000 German soldiers surrounded. No supply line, no exit, trapped inside the city they had come to conquer. Germany sent a relief force, panzers grinding through snow and ice, pushing toward the sound of the guns. They got to within 35 miles of Stalingrad. The men inside could hear them. They believed help was coming. Then the order came to halt, then to withdraw. The guns the trapped men had been listening to, the sound of hope, went silent, and the men inside the pocket understood no one was coming. On Christmas morning, 1942, the loudspeakers played the tango again, the same music, the same haunting melody drifting across the snow into the German lines. The temperature that morning, minus 25 degrees, daily rations, 50 grams of bread per man. One soldier recorded in a diary later captured by Soviet forces that he had slaughtered 4 dogs to feed his unit. That was Christmas. Hitler had made a promise. He would resupply them by air. The Luftwaffe was delivering 90 tons of supplies daily into the pocket. They needed 700. They were receiving less than 1/7 of what they needed to survive. One soldier wrote, and these are the exact words recovered from a captured diary, "I want to go home. I want my mother. I am not ashamed of that." He was 24 years old. There is one letter written in the final days of the pocket, sealed, handed to a courier, and never delivered. The family never received it, never knew it existed.